All right, let's speak now to Collen Msibi, Department of Transport Spokesperson, who's joining us now for a right of reply. Mr. Msibi, thank you so much for your time. Certainly, you've heard, and I'm sure you've seen the concerns around this particular contract, and some are calling for the fact that the department should at least wait a bit and see if this particular storm with AXA actually does subside and this company is then found to be without any wrongdoing. But certainly it looks like, some are saying the department is moving ahead with speed on this particular contract. What do you say with the latest concerns that have been raised about this contract?
Thanks so much, and thanks for the opportunity. Indeed, I've heard what Leighton is saying. They are raising some issues which are valid. Some of them we've dealt with before in the public domain. The issue is that we're sitting with approximately 380,000 backlog in terms of the licenses that must be printed. It is mainly because of the system we're using currently. So we can no longer wait in terms of ensuring that we get a new system to be able to have a proper new smart driver's license card. So it is for that reason that we've had to do our work. Can tell you now, if we're saying we're putting this on hold so that we can see what happens with the investigation, the very same people are going to come back and say, but that investigation had nothing to do with this particular tender. So we are saying, one, the processes were above board as far as we're concerned, and even the probate process that we undertook, it cleared us in terms of saying that all the prescribed legislation and the policies were followed. Three, the issue of AXA, that is a tiff between two lovers. And it has no bearing whatsoever in terms of what we are doing. But it doesn't mean...
But AXA falls under the Department of Transport.
Exactly. What we are saying, they've issued a statement. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
There's an issue between the SMME partner and IDEMIA. And where do we feature in terms of the driver's license when it comes to that?
Does it not concern the department, though, that right now
of course
there are these issues?
I'm saying it is in our line of sight. It is in our line of sight. But we are saying that it has no bearing in terms of the process that we've undertaken. So you were quite correct when you were speaking to Leighton to say, we are moving on the basis of the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Nobody has said anyone is guilty in this sense. So we are saying we cannot hold the country at ransom any longer on this matter.
So what happens if, pardon me, Mr. Msibi, pardon me for coming in there. What happens if there's a guilty verdict then and you've moved ahead?
You will understand that there's obviously processes that must still take place. The Auditor General, I think Leighton has referred to in his statement. You see, if those processes are still coming, and of course there has to be, if there is an issue indeed that has a bearing on what we are doing, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
But so that will be R1 billion later. That will be R1 billion later. And I suppose South Africans are saying that, for example, Public Interest South Africa is saying that for them, this decision is raising serious concerns regarding transparency, rationality, adherence to ethical procurement. And if it happens that there are problems that are found out at a later stage when all processes have concluded, then the department again is now going to find itself in a whirlwind of a storm that it forged ahead with a process that may have problems or may not. Yes, of course, right now, the presumption is there that they may be innocent. But how then does the department reconcile this later on, should possibly this company be found guilty?
The approval of the preferred bidder happened on the 8th of August. We then discover on the 27th of August that there is an issue at AXA. It had already been published to say we are appointing this particular company, published in the tender portal of government. So it's either near or there whether you're going to put it on hold and so forth, because you had already appointed the company. So the issue, therefore, is that what were we supposed to do when we find out on the 27th? Were we supposed to say, hold on, you are being investigated at AXA, therefore we are no longer appointing you? Were we supposed to do that?
Maybe, according to some, I've read certain statements that are saying that maybe you should have said, let's put a pause. We're not cancelling you, but let's put a pause and see what the possibility this is. Because, for example, would you say, though, that, and I understand the need for the cards, and you say the country can't be put at ransom, and I agree with you. A lot of people do need this resolved. But would you rather it be resolved with all these questions, or would you rather it be resolved with a process that is clean and has no comebacks or even concerns?
You're not insinuating that the process wasn't clear. I mean, the process was clean. This is what I've just said.
No, I mean when it comes to the company itself, as you say that right now you discovered later. Of course, that's not, to be put to the department as it being at fault. You discovered later that there was this issue with AXA. But now those who are criticizing you are saying, now that you've discovered that there's this issue, why not just say, can we put a pause a little bit? We understand that we're putting a country at ransom, and yes, it's not an enviable position. But would rather have a process with a company that doesn't come with all these concerns for now. Let's see what this process then wraps up as saying, so that you wrap up this process with an all above board approach with a company that is, really just having no concerns or questions. Was that not an option for the department?
Look, I think when you do that, you would have to provide a reason. And I think in this case, the reason would have been, you are being investigated by AXA. And therefore, somebody would then come and say, so does it have anything to do with what we've just done with you here, with this process? It doesn't. What were you going to say? So in other words, you run a very good risk of being taken to court because you had already published the decision. So there's no turning back in terms of having to say, we're going to put you on hold because you are doing something there with your SMME partner, which has nothing, that SMME partner has nothing to do with us. So they've got that stiff that is happening there, which we are well aware of. We are quite very much aware of the concerns that are being raised by AA. But the issue is that we've already published, and therefore we run a very good chance of being taken to court, so that we then have to answer in terms of why are you suspending this matter when you've already appointed, and therefore we run a risk of having to pay penalties for that. So there's too many risks on these matters. I mean, Leighton is for instance referring to the issues of government printing works. Government printing works. The tender was put out. Government printing works uses service providers themselves. So if we say, let's go to government printing works, it means you are getting into government printing works on the back door. When the Constitution is very clear, 217, the section 217 of the Constitution, it says goods and services, you must go on tender on these matters. So when we go to the government printing works to say, let them be the one to print. So in other words, you are participating in the contract that is already there. So it means there has to be change of the scope of work. And it can even affect the value of the contract at government printers. So these are all things that are at play. So let's not assume that at government printing, it is the public servants who are doing the work. No, it's still service providers who are there. By the way, they in fact had an opportunity in themselves to participate and put in their bids, those service providers that we're talking about. So we're being open and fair and transparent. We've been communicating with the nation in terms of what's happening with this tender. So at some point, we may have to ask a question. When we say transparent, what do we mean?
So,
because we don't understand. We've been communicating what's happening. We've even said at some point, these are the bids we've received from these bidders. So what more? And when we appointed, we said, this is the company that we've appointed. We've even published the value of the contract. We've published even the time frame, which is 5 years. It's out there. You can go on a portal of government. It is there. So what more when you talk about transparency, what more are you talking about?
I suppose what they're saying to you is that, you know, they would like some transparency as far as this is concerned. You and I have just ventilated this issue on the issues around AXA, because even with, for example, the public interest essay, they're raising issues around AXA to say that if you have this cloud, why not pause? But I have another question then to say that officials of the department right now, with all of this going on, the investigations that continue, as you say, at AXA, and all of these things that are happening in the public outcry, are you saying the officials of the department are sleeping better at night right now, and they're 100% correct, sure that they made the correct decision, and this is a decision that they can stand by in the future should things go either way?
The reality is that let's not connect things that do not connect. The investigation at AXA has nothing to do with the process that we've undergone in terms of this tender.
But the company would have a cloud above its head should things go wrong. Should they be found to have been things that were done irregularly here and possibly things go wrong? Yes, now the presumption of innocence is there. But should things go wrong, they will have a cloud above their heads. And the question is, are the officials of the department saying that they are sleeping better at night? This is the best decision they could have made. Even if things go wrong, they can stand by that decision.
Well, the issue is that the SCM processes and the prescripts, we have the National Treasury that oversees the procurement, the Chief Procurement Officer. So we will have to take guidance from the Treasury in terms of what then happens in case there's an issue about this investigation that is being undertaken. But at this point, we honestly cannot prophesy in terms of what will happen in the future. Hence, I'm saying to you, we will, of course, there's also the issue of the process of the Auditor General. If things come out there, so there's so many, what you call, systems in place, checks and balances in as far as these matters. So when it comes to that, we would have to be advised in terms of what next, because the custodians of these processes is actually the National Treasury. So we'll take counsel from them in terms of how do we move forward on this matter.
Mr. Msibi, we appreciate your time and really just clarifying for even the viewers tonight as we look, of course, at this, because as you say, yes, the backlog is something that needs to be dealt with as a matter of urgency, but also there's concerns as well on the side. So as you say, it's a catch-22, it really is. But let's see then how do you move forward with this particular matter. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. That was Collen Msibi, the Department of Transport spokesperson.